the hidden Hightower. Jim, what's your story based on?
Well, Doug and Kathy, I'm basing my story on this letter. Law enforcement sources have told me that they believe Hightower has allegedly written up to 7 letters, which were all written as if someone else wrote them. The letters make Hightower out to be an unwitting victim of the mob who allegedly murdered the Brendel family. According to some law enforcement officials, Hightower is trying to con his way out of a murder charge. It was nearly a year ago, on the morning of November 7th, 1991. A woman walking her dog notices some lime on the ground. She calls police. And the 7-week search for the bodies of Ernest, Alice, and little Emily Brendel come to a gruesome end. Their bodies found here in shallow graves. The man charged with the crime is Christopher Hightower, a man who some law enforcement officials say has several personalities. In the letter we obtained, which is signed mysteriously Lynx, the letter writer, who law enforcement officials believe is Hightower, is obviously troubled about the murder of little Emily. God forgave me, but I cannot forgive myself for being involved in the murder of an innocent child. Hightower did not kill the Brendels. They were killed because of Ernie's stupidity. Over time, he stole over $2 million from them. Them, according to law enforcement sources, is the mob Hightower allegedly refers to in other letters. I showed the letter to Barrington's police chief, who took part in the Brendel murder investigation.
In reading the letter itself, it looks as though it's some sort of a confession, although it was not signed by Christopher Hightower. But certainly in reading the letter and knowing what I know about the case, there's a good possibility that Christopher Hightower wrote this letter.
That's because the letter describes the murder of the Brendels in details that very closely match the physical evidence developed by investigators, according to 3 law enforcement sources. Police know that on the Saturday morning Ernie Brendel was killed, his wife called a friend in Connecticut to say Ernie wouldn't be meeting him as planned. The letter. Ernie was taken to the garage while Alice was forced to make the phone call. And it was in the garage where the torture of Ernie Brendel began, according to the letter. He was shot in the car and beat with a black crowbar. Police sources say a heavy black pry bar was found, but they're not sure Ernie was beaten with it. The shot, according to the letter, refers to an arrow. The torture continued. He still would not talk about where the mob's money was. So he was shot in the right rear ass or leg. I couldn't tell for sure. Law enforcement sources say one of 3 arrows found in Brendel's body was pulled from his buttocks. At this point, with Ernie wounded but still alive, his wife Alice was brought into the garage and stood in front of her suffering husband. Police believe that other details in the letter closely match the evidence they've gathered.
I would agree with that. There's a definite parallel in what was stated in the letter and in the evidence that's been gathered.
Now, we should point out that these letters are not critical evidence in the state's case, according to the Attorney General's office, and some of the details do not coincide with other evidence developed by the authorities. The state feels it does have a very strong case against Hightower, even without those letters. Kathy, Doug?
Jim, does Hightower admit that he wrote the letters? Did he say it in those words?
No, Doug, I met with Hightower personally down at the prison on 2 different occasions, but that was before I obtained the letters. Through his attorney, he does deny writing the letters.
I got to tell you, that was really chilling, listening to all that right now, and that has really scarred that community, being a member of the Barrington community. It really has. You met with Hightower. What was your impression of him?
He's a very engaging, a very convincing, a very intelligent man, extremely polite. He denied over and over again that he killed the Brendels, but of course those traits that I just described, law enforcement officials say those are the traits, in this case, of a real good con artist.
Was it difficult to talk to him, or was he voluntary?
He asked me to come to the prison to see him.
Did he really?
Okay. Jim, thank you very much.
Jim, thank you.
And we focus on another mysterious character now.